So, thank you for joining us today, sir. In your perspective, how does international humanitarian law intersect with the challenges faced by the Third Pole and the Eastern Himalayas, particularly when it comes to safeguarding the rights of local communities?
So we have COP29, and then there are so many UN environmental laws, local laws. Laws are good, right? First, you have to make laws, and you have to sign into law. For example, there is UN Convention on Water Sharing, which China has not signed, which means China sits on, third pole, the water tower of Asia, that's Tibet, and all these countries downstream are dependent on and affected by what happens on the Tibetan plateau. Because China has not signed UN Convention on Water Sharing, it affects people. For example, Brahmaputra River, right? It's a lifeline for Assam and Northeast. Now, they're building up to 12 dams. Small dams have already been built. When the biggest dam is built, it affects people downstream, and the local people are affected, right? So when you have a global, conference on climate change and regional and national laws, local level, local issues are the most important. So that's where local input has to be taken.
While formulating the laws of the land.
Yes.
Okay.
So indigenous people, for example, their view should be taken. For example, in Tibet, we have so many sacred mountains, sacred lakes, and sacred rivers, even sacred ponds. Why? Even the villagers will say, oh, that small pond is sacred. Wahan pe naag hai. Don't pollute it. Huh? Otherwise, your health or your spirit will be affected. Why? Because that's where the drinking water comes from. So that's a very indigenous way of protecting your forests by saying it's sacred, protecting your glaciers by saying it's sacred, But then that local knowledge is not taken into consideration. Scientists come, they will say, we don't believe in all this, spirit, voodoo stuff. And the companies will come. They say, we don't believe in all these things. So, for the sake of development, we'll mine these mountains, things like that, right? So local knowledge not taken into consideration, local interest not taken into consideration, local social, cultural issues not taken into consideration. That's why you have a crisis. Now, scientists have all these conferences. Finally, what they say, no, local knowledge and local participation is key. Had they begun their research and input with the locals to begin with, we would be in a much better shape.
Correct. No, makes sense. And I think taking them into consideration while formulating laws will play a pivotal role in ensuring that things are executed. Yeah. I think following the same question, and I feel you've already answered some part of it, but I would like you to address that how can humanitarian principles guide the formulation of policies that address climate-induced displacement and resource conflicts in the Eastern Himalayan region?
Because on the one hand, Eastern Himalayan region is very rich in flora, fauna, wild animals, forests, mangroves, you just name it, right? On the other hand, it's more on the lower end of the third pole. So what happens in the upper village, in the upper mountains, affects downstream. So the communication between two, for scientists of this region, right, environmentalists of this region, to have direct access to what happens in the third pole or the Tibetan area is very important. For example, mining is taking place in Tibet. Okay. Once you have mining, extract gold, uranium, lithium, it pollutes rivers, right? Damming is taking place. Once you build dams after dams after dams, what happens? It becomes an earthquake-prone zone. For example, Assam is earthquake zone number 5, which means very dangerous situation. And in 1897, there was a major earthquake in Assam. 1950, there was a major earthquake in Assam. Now, if you build 12 dams on Brahmaputra River, you can clearly see the danger. So let's not forget 2011 earthquake in Sikkim, 2015 earthquake in Nepal, right, and in Afghanistan and Pakistan in recent years. So, Eastern Himalayan region, environmental flora and fauna, and livelihood are all connected, right? So that's why direct communication, direct exchange of views, and then monitoring each other, making accountable each other is very, very important.
Right. And that can influence larger strategic decisions at the policy level of what we understand. Right.
Through this dialogue, then you must come with a common strategy, taking common interests into view. You just can't say, our interest is different from lower stream. So it's all connected. It's interdependent, yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, two
Yeah.
questions. I answered all your questions.
Yeah, because there were two which were kind of similar. So I think you've already answered it in the first go.